So, guys, I have just got out of the theaters watching Final Destination Bloodlines, and I gotta say, what I seen was pretty interesting. So if you like this kind of content about me reviewing movies, like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. And let's just jump right into it. If I have to give it a score on the big board, I'd give it an 8 out of 10. Overall, my thoughts going into this movie were, I was borderline debating whether or not to watch it or not watch it or skip it. Ultimately, I'm happy I decided to see it. This movie had what I was wanting, which was some really hilarious deaths, some really hilarious death scenes, and they genuinely made me laugh because of the ridiculousness of the deaths. But what I did not see coming from this movie that made me like it maybe a little bit more than I thought I would was I actually enjoyed the characters. I actually enjoyed the story, and that opening of the movie was so good, and it really set the precedent for the rest of the movie. The story was easy to follow. It's nothing that's going to rack your brain too hard. It doesn't take the next step to make it an amazing movie or a masterpiece, but it definitely is a fun watch. It wasn't really scary or anything. It's just more of seeing how these characters navigate death being at every corner. And I will say this movie also has a profound effect on me personally for this reason, at least right now in the moment that I'm recording it. And that is, now I'm turning and looking for death around every corner. I'm like, is that safe? Is this safe? You know what I mean? I'm sure that paranoia will wear off by the end of the night. But that being said, I want to talk about what this movie got right and what this movie got wrong. So first, let me say what this movie got right. It was paced really well. The beginning, it got right. The middle, it got right. And the ending was right. It was a little bit of a twist ending that I'm not going to spoil here, but I'm happy it went the way it did. It could have easily went the other direction, and I still would have been okay with it. But just that little bit at the end right there made me truly go, oh, okay, we don't have to take this movie so seriously. You shouldn't go into it with a serious attitude. If you do, you might have a bad time. It's just a fun movie, honestly. Now, I will say, if you've never watched Final Destination before, I don't think that's going to be a problem. Because to be honest with you, I've never seen Final Destination prior to this movie. I know, it's shocking. I mean, so much of my generation watched the Final Destination movies. I hadn't watched them in all these years, and I purposely kept away from it leading up to this movie because I was like, well, let's just go into this fresh and see if a fresh pair of eyes will help or hurt the movie. I don't know if seeing the other movies would hurt or help it, but I felt like it was a story personally, and I wasn't lost in some kind of lore before it from Nations. So, if you're new to this, definitely right here. In fact, it may be the opposite effect, where now I go watch one and kind of see what they're like now that I. So that might be something I consider doing. Get somewhat familiar with Final Destination, like the log scene, for instance. And so many people don't want to drive behind a truck that's hauling logs because of that scene. Like, I'm familiar with a little bit of it. I know there's some sort of deeper, bigger lore that goes on or connects the movies in some way, and I don't really need to get too involved with it. If you're just watching this movie as a self-contained, just, entertainment slop movie, you're gonna have a great time. That being said, it can't be more than an 8. Because even though you might laugh here and there, And even though you might feel for the characters here and there, it's very surface level. You don't really get invested to the point where the movie can be a 9 or a 10, because you just can't take it seriously, obviously. So it can't take the next step, which is fine. It's okay to have a movie like this, and ultimately it did its job. And so I really recommend this movie. I do, especially if you got a couple hours to kill and you just want to have a nice night out to the theaters, or you end up picking this up on DVD or wherever it goes as a streaming service. I recommend this movie. I do. There was some gore for sure. There was some instances where you might jump like, whoa, how'd this, just someone just died randomly and it maybe catches you by surprise. The deaths were absolutely over the top, ridiculous, and unrealistic in every way, shape, or form, which is fine. That's what the movie's about, so it gets a pass, no doubt. I like how it connected everything from the beginning to the end. The way that death trickled down the family line made a lot of sense. And I don't want to give up too much story details because, I'm recommending you all see the movie. I don't want to spoil it. But there's definitely some surprise instances where you think somebody's getting ready to die and then they don't because they're like not related or something. And then it moves on to the next person. And in so many ways, one of the best parts of the movie is how many times they made you think someone was going to die, and then they got you because they didn't do it. So the creativity of how these characters died is just as much a part of the movie as them dying. Because it's not just silly ways they die, it's very creative and well thought out and choreographed. And I think that this movie benefits from being in this era of cinematography even more so than it would have 25 years ago when the franchise was just getting off the ground. So overall, those are my thoughts on the movie, guys. What do you think in the comments below? Let me know if you're gonna go see Final Destination Bloodlines, and I will catch you all later. Peace.